One of the things I like about Spanish are the nicknames that people have. And although we have nicknames in English, I find that in the Spanish-speaking world, they're a bit more common. Now, what I'm going to tell you might work in a certain part of Latin America and not in others. And so what you want to do is go out and kind of ask people and figure out, what about where you're from? How do nicknames work? So we can derive nicknames from a variety of ways, including your profession, your physical appearance. We can shorten nicknames like we do in English, and we can also use ito and ita for the use of the diminutive. All right, well, let's take a look. If someone has a profession, right? If someone has gone to school and has received an advanced degree, it's appropriate and a form of respect to address that person by his or her title. Now, we do this in English by calling someone doctor or judge. But in Spanish, many times, it extends farther than that. So if someone is an accountant, you would refer to them as contador, or a female contadora. Hello, accountant, how are you? Now, we don't usually do that in English, but in Spanish, we do. Or an architect, for example. Hola, arquitecto. Hola, arquitecta. Not something that sounds normal in English, but in Spanish, in a lot of parts of the Spanish-speaking world, it is. One of them that is really helpful is licenciado or licenciada, which means licensed one. And that's derived from the 4-year degree that you would get at a university. So if you don't know what somebody studied, you can just say licenciado or licenciada. Another way that nicknames are derived are based on physical appearance. Now in English, we don't really do that in the United States. But in Spanish, it happens all the time. And generally speaking, it's not offensive to refer to someone based on a physical characteristic. So if someone was really skinny, we might call that person flaco or flaca if it's a female, or gordo or gorda. Pájaro down there at the bottom means bird. And so maybe when somebody was a little kid, he was running around on his tippy toes and he got the nickname pájaro. And even if he outgrows or she outgrows running around on her toes, that name might stick for life. All of these are called apodos. And sometimes they can be ironic or based on an emotion. For example, I have a friend who's a bit crazy, and we call him Loco. Another friend, he's pretty good looking, and one day I just started calling him feo, which means ugly. And to this day, it still works. Now, not everybody calls him feo, just me, but it's a way to show that I know him and that I know him well. A third way to derive a nickname is based on just standard names, and this is what we do in English. There are certain names like William that go to Bill, or Nicholas goes to Nick, or Michael goes to Mike, and we have this in Spanish, and this is called a nombre corto, a short name. Some of the common males' names include Guillermo, which is Memo. Ignacio would be Nacho. Remember the show Nacho Libre? Well, that's coming from Ignacio. But I think my favorite is the nickname for Jesus, Jesus, which is Chewy. Works the same for female names, right? Concepcion is Concha. We can also take names and combine them. So Maria Luisa is a compound first name, and if we put them together, we get Maria Lu. This is about the same as we have in English. And the fourth way, and I'm sure there are many more, but these are the 4 that we're going to showcase today, is through the use of diminutives. And a diminutive is a way to make something smaller. And we can add ito or ita to the end of a name. So Juan and Juanito, John and Johnny. So it can literally mean like little John, right? Juanito, father, son. Or there might be just a lot of people named Juan in the family and you need a way to distinguish it. It's also just a way not to say someone's small, but to reduce the social distance between two people. Now sometimes ito and ita just don't work, and you may need to use cito or cita, acito or acita, like Ramon would be Ramoncito. There's another video on that if you want to figure out the intricacies of those changes. And just like we can add ito or ita to names, we can also add them to other nicknames. Loco could be El Loquito. I had a friend when I studied abroad, and she was a redhead, and they called her Fresita, which comes from the word fresa, which means strawberry. Now, fresa can also mean other things, but in this context, they were referring to her hair color. Doctor, doctorcito. So it's a way to say, I really know this doctor. We have a very, very comfortable relationship. Or abuela, grandmother. Abuelita, grandma. Using a diminutive or shortening or based on someone's physical appearance or their profession. You just got to be careful, right? Because all of this can be offensive if you don't know the person, right? If I walked into an office and I had never met a doctor before and I was like, hola, doctorcito, he or she could take that by meaning I am reducing them to almost nothing because I think they're a terrible doctor. So when in doubt, go with the formal name and follow the people around you. But nicknames, they're pretty fun. Ask some people, did they have nicknames growing up? What nickname would you get? Let me know. Leave a comment. Suerte.